When the city of Rome was sacked by the Goths, everything was taken. Wealth, people, everything. People obviously fled if they could afford it. Everyone basically started from zero, except if you somehow got extremely lucky, assuming you were still alive. As the Goths laid siege prior, and many people died of starvation and the various ailments that come with that. Historian Edward Gibbon writes, after the deliverance of Italy from the oppression of the Goths, some secret counselors was permitted, amidst the factions of the palace, to heal the wounds of the afflicted country. By a wise and humane regulation, the 8 provinces which had been the most deeply injured obtained an indulgence of 5 years, the ordinary tribute was reduced to 1/5, and even that fifth was destined to restore and support the useful institution of the public posts. By another law, the lands which had been left without inhabitants or cultivation were granted, with some diminution of taxes, to the neighbors who should occupy or the strangers who should solicit them, and the new possessors were secured against the future claims of the fugitive proprietors. About the same time a general amnesty was published in the name of Honorius, to abolish the guilt and memory of all the involuntary offences which had been committed by his unhappy subjects during the term of the public disorder and calamity. A decent and respectful attention was paid to the restoration of the capital. The citizens were encouraged to rebuild the edifices which had been destroyed or damaged by hostile fire, and extraordinary supplies of corn were imported from the coast of Africa. The crowds that so lately fled before the sword of the barbarians were soon recalled by the hopes of plenty and pleasure. In less than 7 years the vestiges of the Gothic invasion were almost obliterated, and the city appeared to resume its former splendor and tranquility. So when the city of Rome was sacked, the people in power had to decide what to do, and their course of action was lower taxes, cut regulations, encourage private property rights and ownership of land for those who wanted to work the land. What the politicians did was get out of the way, and let private enterprise and the free market build wealth again. Because the free market and capitalism is the only way to truly build wealth for everyone and raise the standard of living. As the heart of free markets is the mutually beneficial contract, in which both parties are making deals that they are happy with and will help both parties. Ownership of land is the essential part of building wealth, as you have something to borrow against if needed, you have a place to set up a business or sell what you produce from your land. Without owning the land we are serfs or slaves, as a large landlord, corporations, or government owns the land. If we don't own the land we live on, we are always making someone else richer. As they are able to make money off the land, as you pay for the upkeep of the property. The general amnesty part reminds me of what Abraham Lincoln said in his second inaugural address when he said, with malice towards none, and charity for all. At some point you have to just say, look, this bad thing happened, we now have to come together to rebuild. And yes, the government did step up and provide food and spend some money to ensure in a crisis everyone at least has the basics. That is a fine and proper function of government, seeing it was government who broke their true role, which is to keep people safe. It was the least they could do after failing so tremendously. When America falls, which it will, or even has another financial or other crisis, which will happen again, how will we respond? Our record for the most part since the stock market crash known as Black Tuesday of 1929 has been government intervention in the forms of bailouts, government subsidies, or entirely new government departments. Government intervention just keeps the people who made the mistakes in power never to face the consequences of their bad choices, and the consequences get pushed off onto the everyday person. Or will our leaders follow the city of Rome's example and get out of our way, allow us to build wealth, allow us the freedom to use our land as we wish to our own benefit? Allow us to truly own our own property, not just rent it from the government. The ways we have been doing it have been shown to be incorrect. Maybe we have to re-examine what people did further in the past that has worked. There are examples.